Was inclusive of any situation and any location. He learned to be content everywhere and in all things, the scripture says.
Oh, did you
May
see
I
that?
remind you that Paul was not writing
like
this
double lightning.
from any kind of a place where you would normally think such a writing would come. He was writing it in between being chained to Roman soldiers.
Awesome. A YouTube video.
And I just want to stop and say that it's such a sad thing, and it's so easy for this to happen, that so many people go through life thinking that if they could just relocate, they'd be content. If they could just go to another church, they would be content. We have a name that we call people who do that. They're called church hoppers.
Why are you watching this?
They go from church to church to church to church trying to find something. And here's the key phrase: I didn't get my needs met. Whatever that means. That's not in the Bible, by the way. And if we would stop trying to get our needs met and start trying to help other people who have needs, we would never say anything like that. We'd be so busy helping others, and in the process, we'd be discovering everything we wanted was always there. If they could just get another job, they'd be content. A man once came to Socrates and asked him about the unhappiness of one of his friends, and Socrates answered, "The trouble with that man is this: everywhere he goes, he takes himself with him." And that is a problem. Contentment's not a place, it's not a job, it's not friendships. Contentment's what's in your heart. And Paul said, I have learned that in whatever state I'm in, whatever's going on in my life, whether I'm way up here or way down here, my contentment doesn't have to change, because my contentment was never about those things in the first place. Contentment in the place where God has stationed you. Here's the second principle. Contentment because of the power of God that strengthens you. We don't always realize that the next verse comes before the one just before it in this text. But the next verse says this: I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. What kind of all things can you do? Listen to me. You can learn to be content. Did you know that? You say, well, I can't do that. Probably not by yourself. But here's the scripture saying that if you allow God to strengthen you, he will. Now, this verse means a lot of other things, but connected to the passage, it surely means this: if you're not contented, if you're not happy, if you're not doing what you want to do, if you feel like God has looked over you and you're not where you should be, you need to fix that. You need to learn how to be content. Paul tells you can do it. And if you need some help, here's God's promise: I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. He was not talking about an outward set of circumstances. This is not contentment in a place. This is contentment in a person. James Stewart wrote it this way. He said, Christ is the redeemed man's new environment.
No, I'm not going to write. I'm not sending all
The
that.
human body, by the acts of eating and drinking and breathing, is continually drawing for its strength